Here. You can't hear?
Put the mic away.
Put the mic down.
I think I'd do this without a mic. Thank you all for coming. It really is turning out to be nice, and everything is working out nice, and I hope you're all getting enough to eat and to drink, okay? And first thing I want to mention, there is limousine service. It's not just to be exotic, it's for safety's sake. You know where this yacht club is down here, and the hills are up there, the hills are there, and cops do tend to sit up there and wait for parties like this, so be careful. We have Ron Stowers here from the FAA, he could even arrest us. So be careful and use it. If you got a problem, you know, have somebody take the car home and then bring it back, work it out with the limousine driver, okay?
Larry's too shy to mention the fact that he paid over $300 for this damn limousine. It's going to sit here whether you use it or not. Right. So if you feel kind of high, you take the limo. And you come
That's
back
right.
to the next person.
All right, we want nobody hurt. Okay. And there's a couple of more seats up here. There's 3 more seats up here.
You on the way.
Can't you guys hear me?
Yeah. On the mic. That's what we got it back there for.
It's too complicated.
Okay, well, let's get going here with this. And thank you for setting up the party. Her eyes still tantalize me.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
And my daughter, Kristen.
And she's a wonderful mother, and she taught me a lot in life, and she even taught me how to take care of an injustice. I remember when I was a little kid, I got a licking for something that my sister did. I know my sister did it, you know? And my mother turned around and walked away, and I thought, I'm not going to stand for that. I gave her such a whack, you know. And it was shortly thereafter I accepted injustice after my second licking. I thought, I'll accept injustice right there.
What about when you broke that leg?
Okay. But she also thought I was a smart guy, because we were on a farm until 5:30. We had outdoor toilets, and she'd always say, why do you wait till your father goes before you go? I said, because he warms up the seat. But she's a wonderful person, a very... Okay, what do you want to like? I can pass with all the things, and it's really nice. I thought that was really nice.
Jackie, baby.
Okay,
Jackie.
Well, that one's for Nancy now, right? Can you hear me back there okay?
On the lake, on a beautiful place on the lake. Beautiful place on the lake. Bill's my good friend, and we've always had good times together, and we've done things together, been to Vegas together. I got my brother Dale over here. Dale is a wonderful guy. He's a school teacher at Milwaukee in economics. He's written economic books. He's grossed over $1 million on them already. Has them in 4 different countries, and he's traveled all over the world.
Now they be asking for money.
He's traveled all over the world, and I'd have to have a satellite to keep up with him. I really would. I'd have to have a satellite to keep up with him, and he's got 43 more trips to go. Well, that's my family, and Dorothy. Okay, that's good. Okay, there you go. Okay, fine. I have Judy's mother and dad here, Mr. and Mrs. Harold Brooks. Okay, and they're good. Because of them, I have her. See? Okay, and I guess is that good enough? Take it over, Boston.
Okay. We have a great sound system. The hell with it. You know, I noticed several of you brought gifts, bearing gifts. I saw some gifts over right there. We're going to check Larry's his mental lobes in terms of memory. Who remember, Larry, when you became an expert driver of a Volkswagen Bug in Wausau Municipal Airport.
Oh, yeah.
When your friend Ed Godek fixed up with a fine fleet of cars with crew members, I noticed the bumper sticker that Larry used to put on the side of the aircraft where people would come in. It said, free gift at hotel. Ask Jeff for details.
Free gift of
We always thought of Larry as a conscientious pilot who thought himself as conscious. Well, this is pretty sick, whoever gave me this one. Did you know that Larry raises cats at home? Some call him Purr rather than C.
Well, I don't get that one.
Larry, I asked your wife to kind of go back through perhaps some memorabilia that you had. She was looking in your dresser drawers the other day for me. She came up, she said, oh, I don't know what we can do with this, Watson. Toledo Airport Hotel key. Room 104. Now that was a 5-star hotel. And I thought, by God, I think Swanton, Ohio. That was where that little airport was located. I'll go down and check out room 104. And I did. And to this day, Larry was always complaining about the mattresses being hard. Get the hell out of here.
Try it now, Sandy says. Hey, that works now.
All right.
Right.
No.
Now, Cam, you're happy. Go drive a Corbison bus. Hey, I need your help. Hey, Sandy. Larry was always complaining about the beds being hard down there at the Toledo Motel.
I went down there and checked out room 104, and I got underneath the mattress. I thought it was a bunk board. And Larry said, he used to get bored stiff down there.
While you're back here, Sandy, you got some comments to say about this guy, Larry, right? No? Wrong? Something about Sheboygan? Okay. Okay, let's get this out of the way here while I'm back there. Larry Shaver. Captain Larry Shaver. He's a very nice guy. He's got a kind of weird,
Hold it away from your mouth.
I know, he's got kind of a weird, he's weird! Okay, anyway, guys, Larry Shaver is, he's got kind of an oddball, he has an oddball, but I mean, other than that. Ross Flowers is out here, the FAA band that gave him a lot of rides, and he's got something to say about you, too. We're saving that for later, you know, the rest of the boys later. Larry Shaver actually is a wonderful guy. I'm going to miss him on the line. I'll say I've been on the line for 5 minutes. And what gets me a little disgusted is the fact that he does something close to me. He's going to be over my house all the time. But anyway, Larry Shaver does have a kind of a oddball situation here going. I just thought sometimes, I I know we were out at Baltimore one time, out there watching the boats coming and everything, and the sickle flew over and he dropped some stuff on his head. I started laughing. I said, wait a minute, Larry, so I'm going to get some tissue paper or something. He said, don't worry about that. He said, the sickle's going to be gone anyway. So I thought it was kind of hilarious. And we were watching a Packer game here one night, and it was kind of a dull game, you know, so I just kind of was advised that Larry. He says, hey, Larry says, how's your sex life? He says, I'm good. I said, I'm sorry, we're going to turn.
Like that's it.
But anyway, Larry was a nice guy, and Larry's a nice guy, and I love him. But the only thing is, what bothers me is the fact that sometimes he tries to land on top of your aircraft, like a Sheboygan in a snowstorm. Now I'm taxiing out, I'm minding my own business, all of a sudden I see headlights of another airplane coming in. So I think, boy, this guy's a dingley, he must be a perfect pilot. And I better than that, I started watching and I started listening to intercom, and all of a sudden there's Larry's voice coming. You're off the runway. Taxiing out here, Larry, you're lying on top of me. I was like, this is a really good person. It's not my phone. Last time was the next shot. But anyway, things worked out. We got that ironed out. Well, I guess one of my favorite stories about Larry is the fact that when we took off the air in a Metroliner. Now, you folks, I don't know if most of you guys remember a Metroliner. That's a skinny airplane, long, no wings, no power, no nothing. About 85, 90 degrees, we took off our Chicago on the long runways. And I don't know why, but Larry was in the left seat, I was in the right seat for some thing. And we took off, and Larry calls for gear up. Now, a captain riding in the right seat of an aircraft is not familiar because I'm not very dexterous. So everything I do with my right hand, so now I have to do everything with my left hand. So therefore, I'm looking for the gear handle. Well, I finally found it. And I put it up. So I'm looking out the railroad tracks. Well, on the railroad tracks, there's a bunch of new cars. And I thought maybe Larry's wanted to see the cars. And see what it looked like. And we're pretty low, so I didn't think too much about that. And I figured I better say something. So I said, Larry, I said, maybe we better, I looked over Larry and all is in going to service. I said, no, nobody's watching you. I guess it was not going to be a day. And it was sweating, I wasn't grinning, but I was grinning, but I wasn't sweating. And I looked down there and I can look down there. I looked over there and what are you wearing now? So I looked at the handle, what's your problem, Larry? What's the uniform? So I figured in heck we couldn't get the gear off. That's what it was. And that particular airplane, with two engines running, and the gear down, and the next car we could pull were okay. But we couldn't plane. I mean, it was really slow. So and they was working with the towers, so I know what these guys think. So these guys said, well, turn left, turn right. So we ran the airplane, and maybe I didn't have to do it, which I asked them. No problem. All of a sudden they got busy and they forgot about us. So now we're heading down to downtown Chicago. Well, I like downtown Chicago. You know, they've got life hours down there, man. It's very nice to look at. But not at the So we're going downtown Chicago, and this guy says, well, you can talk to Larry, and Larry's stuck up a storm and everything. I said, Larry, how you doing? I said, good deal, because you don't need some wind anyway. You can't do it anyway. Keep some of this stuff off. Anyway, we go downtown Chicago, and the little boy says, well, continue on and cross the lake, and we'll turn you right back in. I said, well, there's no way we're going to cross the lake unless we get through some buildings. I mean, there were buildings out there, no below. So Larry says, well, what do you think, Sandy? And I said, I don't know, I'm going to sit. So I said, Larry, you're the captain of the flight, I'm just sitting right here. You make your choices. So he made his choices, and as a result, he died. As a result, we got back in all right. I mean, there was no big deal about it. That's just one of the things I remember. Another one I remember is the Lafayette, Indiana. On the sink, I says, you know, the ice is up there, so be careful. So Larry says, no problem. Okay, I get above the ice, and looked like Mike's pilot. I think it was Stan Iles who was my pilot. He was a little nervous and jerky too, because our airplane was kind of humming and shaking. So I said, okay, Larry, the tops are about 8,000 feet, you know, give it a try. Okay, I'm coming up. Okay, let me know what's going on. So I listen to him on the radio now. He takes off, he goes over, nothing at all. And then all of a sudden, Larry says, and they hear a little buzzing and booming going on. Where the heck? I stopped. He went down. He got back in there, but it was, just him with the co-pilot, so there was no problem. I had no passengers on board. But the person won these airplanes back in our person here, we got to take care of that one there. Took care of us. We had to come around. Other than that, there's a lot of other stories I could tell you. I'm going to talk to some rest. Like Ron Stowers, our referee man up here. No, you're not tall enough.
Can get you to come up here and see if you can hold this mic away from your voice. No, you can't have the mic, Larry. Okay. Hold it away from your mouth.
I'm going to tell the rest of the story. The rest of the story. Can you hear me now?
Talk without it, okay?
Everybody be quiet.
Well, what Sandy says about Sheboygan is correct. But I got to tell the rest of the story is Paul Harvey's place. Okay? I knew Sandy was there on the taxiway, but we had a poker game the week before here. 5-card stud. I had kings and threes. He had an 8 showing. He had a 4 showing. And I kept raising him. I knew I had him beat. And he raised me back. He raised me back. I raised him back. He raised me back a huge amount. I dropped. And then he laughed at me. And he showed me that he beat me. And he only had 1 pair and I had 2 pair. And I said, Sandy, one day I'm going to be all over you. We came into Sheboygan and I saw him down there. And remember the Twin Otters, Preston? They were non-pressurized. The window would open. There were no bathrooms. I flew over him. And as I flew over him, Sandy said, and as he turned on the windshield wiper, Sandy said, they're right about acid rain. Look at that acid rain. Is that legal, Ron? Okay. Hey, Ron, if you want to stick up in the middle there. Walk a little closer over there, then you don't have to talk so loud. Go up in the middle.
Oh, this is fine. You talk about the rest of the story. I think that leads right into where I could come in with this. I had the opportunity, of course.
Louder, Ron. Louder.
I had the opportunity to give several check rides and oral exams and so on. One person from Air Wisconsin defeated me. We'd start questioning on the system. We were going along fine. I wasn't really catching on to what was going on. All of a sudden, we'd be talking about Colonel Custer. When we were done, I said, you ought to be a writer or something. I actually not an inspector. I didn't pass the test, but he did.
This is the greatest government employee we have right here. It's been wonderful to all of us, the pilots. It's been wonderful to Air Wisconsin. He is one hell of a guy. All right. Clinton's proud of you.
That had nothing to do with Ron. I was in the marketing and BS department. But somehow, for some reason, we struck up a camaraderie. And I'm now driving a truck for an automotive dealer and have been for 11 months. And I swear to God, 2 weeks ago, a message came and says, where in the hell and how in the hell is Ron Stowers? And I'm so tickled pink that he can be here. Okay, now, Ed Godek. Ed's kind of a quiet guy, but we're going to count on you to stand right in front and give us some lowdown.
A couple of special gifts from Larry. One of them is this item right here. What's it? Oh, okay. Everyone, I'm sure just about everyone knows that Larry is a strong student of the Battle of the Little Bighorn. And maybe not all of you know, but he's going out there this summer and anticipating that the Indians might induct him into their tribe. We want to give these feathers. One other item here. Most of you probably know that Larry was involved in the Vietnam War. And when he was over there fighting the bloody battles in Vietnam, he was sending us tapes. And I have a tape here that Larry sent us. And we've kept it, not, I guess, in anticipation of the retirement party. But anyway, I was going to transfer this to a cassette to play it here, but after listening to it and hearing some of the recountings of the bloody battles of the library that Larry fought, better not to.
All right, thank you. Yeah, oh yeah, I got them. I got it home. Now I'm retired, I got to start listening to them again.
I only know of one other group that wants to make some pointed comments that I'm aware of. There may be many of you in the audience that have some special somethings to lay on Brother Larry. So you have to make that fact known to me. At the present time, I'd like to call on the flight attendants, hopefully that they're gathered and prepared, as hopefully they always are. I kind of question that because I was involved with initially with hiring many of them. You never know when they're going to be ready. So are you ready, flight attendants? Kim, are you involved in this, Kim?
Hello? Here you are.
Called in sick.
So in the meantime, Dick Turner, what have you got to say?
Larry got my seniority number, that's all I had to say. Stand up, Larry, and tell the story.
No, you tell.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, we always had this big controversy, you know. Larry went to Vietnam and fought that war that you're talking about. I snuck in here, you know, and Larry came back, and I don't know what happened there. He kind of took a lower place on the seniority list, I guess. I had his number, I don't know. It wasn't his number specifically, but it was a number above Larry, but he went down to the library like he usually does, you know. He come back with lots of knowledge, and he beat me out.
I've just
Now you have my number.
How many years did you?
I've just been duly informed that Larry's Seaster has a... Please rise. We've
I
got...
don't know, they always tell me I have a very harsh voice. Larry was kicking around in memories. I will take care of this because we would never get through all of this. You on this too? Here, I'm trying to see 1946, 1945. This book is 8th grade, White Trail School, Newton, Wisconsin, 9th grade, Washington, Junior. Do you know where Newton is? I don't.
22 people and 85 cows in Newton.
I
Clear, I've had 53 home myself.
and there is room, so if any of you would wish to write more in, you may. I put Christy in charge of these, they're precious. Larry, dear Nancy, roses are red, violets are blue, swimming in the lake is just like Larry.
I was a writer from young on. I didn't know.
A little baby brother Dale, he was just a teddy bear. We spoiled him. Dear Nancy, now he's got everything. And it was all married him. March 13, 1954. How old were you then? Hurry up, think. Dear Nancy, when you are amongst us up in a tree, take a pee and take a me. Really? Diane, how did you know this stuff? You're going to get a power on this. Oh, no. We were pure singles. Horse's hoof, horse's feet, horse's neck. Why don't we? Diane, what age are you then? 8th grade. Diane, where are they? Okay, I think this road takes too long. This is Larry. March 19, 1961. Does that make sense? Dear Nancy, when you get married and your husband gets caught, go in the stable and show him who's boss. He never took you right. Dear sister, she's this we really screwed, hey? Never get married. When you get married and your husband is cross, pick up the rolling pin and show him who's boss. And the rest of these, I really bore you. That's it.
I missed the retirement party, and I think we ought to all give Dick Bloom the clap. He's so lucky he never had it. Okay, are the flight attendants ready? Are you ready, flight attendants? For those guys that it might apply, I always thought that this was an American Airline Cup, but are you ready, flight attendants?
We're not really sure.
Oh, sure. Sure you are. All right. We want to welcome Pat Thompson and his lovely bride, and Judy Jensen. I always get Jensen and Jensen mixed up. Everybody. How are we doing, Kim? I'm not sure. Just yell. Come on, girls. Think about it.
That's great. Yeah, really. Want the light out? Was against the law. Oh, look at you, Grandma. Woo! Was against the law. Well, I look out, still on the ground, every time I make his hand. And if I said on my way. Wow, that's really a friend.
together on car trips. Long time ago.
I was
beautiful Wisconsin, milk and honeyland, and all our dreams we'll see. Silver Lake and Rocky Dell, will in your magic spell, and the Sentinel there is beyond compare. Beautiful Wisconsin, milk and honeyland, in all our dreams I see. How's that?
Excellent. Wait, one more. You make that up, or is that a real song?
That's an old song.
That's a real song? It's a real song. I mean, I feel like Johnny Carson here.
But wait, we forget all the words. Where do Kitchen Falling start?
Yeah, this is going to go good.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Catch the falling star and put it in your pocket, save it for a rainy day. Catch the falling star and put it in your pocket, save it for a rainy day. For love big mom and tap you on the shoulder, sometime this time. And just in case you feel you want to hold her, you'll have a pocket full of starlight, pocket full of starlight. Get your phone star and put it in your pocket, save it for a rainy day. Catch a falling star and put it in your pocket, save it for a rainy day. Catch a falling star and put it in your pocket, save it for a rainy day.
Does anybody have any playmates? That's going to...
I love you too, Aunt Nancy.
What I gotta say? That's the one outside. What I gotta sing again?
Dad, what do you have to say for yourself?
Well, it was a nice party, and I was glad that everybody came, and everybody seems like they're having a good time, you know? Okay, what are we gonna sing, honey? Say, did you like the party?
I loved it.
Okay, great.
I'm sorry I didn't say anything, but I'm glad I got to sing.
Oh, well, you were here and you knew the tape. Okay. Okay, that's enough, buddy.
But keep going, this is going to be worth a lot of money someday. What you gotta say? I see the face, I can forget the time. Next when we just met, she's just a girl to me. And I want all the world to see me. Falling, yes I am falling, and she's calling me back again.
Please don't do that.
I just have to
Well,
do.
how the pictures are clear with them. See if that because of that light. Go away.
Larry. That's enough, Steve. That is your dad.
Don, you gotta say a few
You
words.
have any? Say a few words.
Now say it to Larry. Say it to Larry now. Like, I love you, honey.
No, I can't.
No, guys don't do that.
Say something. Look at the camera and say something.
Hello, camera.
Hi, camera. Hey, how's it going?
Oh, yeah, worked out.
Well, I know Larry's. I'm not gonna even say.
Go ahead, Don.
Nah, I can't.
Boy, she got the thing.
I know she's doing that. Yeah.
Okay.
Quit.
Clean the whole place up, huh? Clean the whole place up. You don't have the light on, Stacy, okay, but you don't need it
Come
on.
on.
Yeah, you gotta have a light on.
You're taking a gentleman home, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's driving me home.
You sure you shouldn't take the left?
I'll show you my sister's house. Liz lives right there.
She come over, she knows my sister. She used to take care of training my sister's kids' games.
We were ready.
Okay. Like I said, it's not like we're in a bar over in trouble.
Okay, ready? I'm losing you on it.
You gotta sing for us. Where are the lights? Okay. One of my best friends. I gotta pay attention to sing the words if you know.
Oh, that's bigger there.
Yeah, that's just the word. This is what I need to know.
All the leaves are brown, and the sky is gray, and the sky is gray. On a winter's day, on a winter's day, and he says no, if I wasn't
You're on. You're on.
Well, Larry, thanks to you, Carrie and I both know what these dice are all about. I mean, 7 and 11 or something like that.
11, Fred. I was lots of money with you, Larry. Thanks to you. I can retire early. And also, Larry, I want to mention, thanks to you, Chuck and I, so KGB knows all about us now. They know who our spouses are. They know Judy. They know Gus. They know our children.
Okay, Chris.
They know where we live. They know where we work. They know what we eat for lunch. Thanks a lot, Larry.
We'll never be private again.
No,
Hey,
only
have a
American
good life.
Express
We'll see
here.
you down in Vegas. Bye.
Jay offered to give Lynn and Mary a ride home, but they want to drive.
They want to take the limo. They want to take the limo, yeah.
Yeah, I'm at Tucky. Well, happy retirement, Larry.
Stacy, aren't you going to sing it?
Stacy, you don't need the light. In fact, oh wait, you weren't ready? Are you taping? Oh.
Hang down your head, Tom Dooley. Hang down your head, boy, well, hang down your head, Tom Dooley. Boy, you're bound to die. Mirror on the mountain, die. Oh boy, you're bound to die.
I got blisters on my fingers. One of my favorites.
Shadow
I love it.
Ab, right?
Okay. Danny, where are you? Where's Brooks? You're going to want to sing the Steel Horses.
Huh? Well, your fun is
Rock and roll music.
That's a nice one.
Does that mean something? Rock and roll. Does that mean something? Rock and roll music. Ain't your type of music. You got a better beat, you can use it. Ain't no way to choose it. Gotta be rock and roll music. If you wanna dance with me. If you wanna dance with me. Go get the hill and play a tango. I'm in number for a mambo. It's way too early for a tango. So keep on playing that beat out. Hey, you can't lose it. Ain't no time to use it. Gotta be rock and roll music. If you wanna dance with me. If you wanna dance with me. Oh, that's up. Ladies and gentlemen, Dan Brooks on lead. Are you ready, Dave?
Yep.
This is Larry's retirement party.
Let's go out, boys. Let's do it.
Which one?
Let's do that. 16, 10. I'll do
All right, ready?
Step aside. A lot of men get it, and a lot of men die. One fist of iron and the other of steel. If the right don't get you, then the left one will. You load 16 tons while you're dead. I don't know. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store.
Searching for a heart of gold. getting old. Just searching for a heart of gold.
All right, well, you saw my retirement party. Now let's talk about how I got started in flying. And it's a long story, but I'll try to make it short and interesting, I hope. First of all, I was born and raised in south of Manitowoc, 7 miles south there, at a little town called Newton, and on a farm. And the farm was what my dad bought his mother, of course, in they rented land just south of Manitowoc for a while. Then we bought this farm in 1943, and 160 acres. At the end, I was milking 53 cows. My father died when I was in college. I was a junior in college, and he died then. And I decided to try farming for about 5 years. I was going to try it indefinitely, but I found out that I could get further from morning milking to evening milking. Rather than driving a car, I'd get an airplane, and then we could go further. And it worked out pretty good. In fact, I took some of the farmers one time, the first big trip back in the island, we milked the cows early in the morning and flew up the back of the island and spent the whole day. You land right on the island, the horse team picks you up, and go all around the island, with horses. And it's quite something to get up and back of the island. And we did that and come back for evening milking. But to start off there, when I was farming, I would sell a bull calf, and it was $20 for the bull calf, and the airplane was only $12 at Sheboygan County Airport in Sheboygan, and $4 for the instructor, so $16 an hour, so I had $4 left. And when I started trading, the guy said, well, how come sometimes you come 3 times a month, sometimes you don't come for a month? I said, it depends upon my bull calves, because I artificially inseminate the other cows, and I says, I keep those for heifers, And so that's, and finally, after that, after we sold the farm in 1963, then I sold life insurance for a while, and then got more flying time, but got my commercial license, and then I got my instructor's license so I could teach flying. And I got a job at Sheboygan County Airport at Chaplain Aviation, and I chartered for 2 years as a charter pilot and as a instructor pilot. I instructed over 1,000 hours, and then I flew guys all over the Midwest, as far as North Dakota, out east, wherever they had to go. And it was a good job, but all of a sudden a job opened up at Air Wisconsin. I had a buddy of mine when I was farming that, first of all, how he got his job at Air Wisconsin was, first I got him a job with a construction company, Shooty Construction Company. They had a Comanche, a 108 horsepower Comanche. They called it the whistling Comanche because it really whistled when it was flying. And I got him that job because the guy came to me first, and then I flew a couple of trips, and then I would have my brother and my mother milk the cows when I had to come down to Owensboro, Kentucky, where I had a construction job. But I says, I can't do this, so I gave the job to my friend. And then he started flying at Air Wisconsin, and then after 2 years at Sheboygan, all of a sudden the job opened up, and I took the job. And so I was the 11th pilot hired at Air Wisconsin. And we just started out with a 9-passenger airplane, then we went to a 15-passenger airplane, then we went to a 50-passenger airplane, and then it finally ended up with a 100-passenger airplane, 4-engine jet, and I flew all over the Midwest, and for 31 years. But there was a little interruption. The minute I got hired at Air Wisconsin, I was there 9 months, and Lyndon Johnson Baines called me up and says, hey, Larry, we want you and your unit to come to Vietnam. So for 6 months I got training at Fort Knox, Kentucky. Fort Knox, Kentucky was a basic training. When I quit farming,
I had to join the Army because otherwise I would have been drafted, so I joined the Army Reserve. And I had my 6 months training at Fort Knox, Kentucky, and then every year you'd have to go to Fort McCoy for training for a couple of weeks. But after about 4 years, well, it was 4.5 years actually, Lyndon Baines Johnson called me up and he says, Larry, we're going to send you to Fort Riley, Kansas. You'll be there 6 months. And then in November of that year, we're sending you to Vietnam, along with all our unit. But while I was in training, I had a good time. I rented a 6-passenger airplane, 7-passenger airplane, actually single-engine Cherokee 6 they called it. And I charged each guy $75. So 6 guys I would haul, and I would take them on weekends if they could get a pass to Manitowoc to see their wives, and then be there all weekend in Manitowoc, and then fly back to Fort Riley, Kansas. And one weekend I actually did a double trip. I flew 6 guys home, picked up 6 different girls from Manitowoc, flew them to Fort Riley, Kansas. They spent the time with their 6 husbands. Then I flew those back to Manitowoc and picked up the 6 guys I left there. So I did a double trip, you know. So it was a pretty good deal. They had an article in the paper and everything else about that, you know. So it was a pretty good deal, you know. And the airplane was only $26 an hour, which was quite something. And so I made some money doing that. And plus I got the guys home so fast, you know, and they liked that. Otherwise they would have had to take an airliner from Manhattan, Kansas, north of the Fort Riley, and then to go to Kansas City, and then they would go to Chicago, and then they would take Chicago, and they would take North Central up to Manitowoc. Well, I took them direct. So that's the way that worked. I could make a non-stop direct home 3.5 hours, and otherwise with the airlines, it would take them at least 8 hours. So it really worked out pretty good for me, you know. And so that was just kind of fun doing that. And I leased the airplane from them because it wasn't used that very much in a little town called Junction City, Kansas, south of our base where we were located at Fort Riley base. It was kind of interesting. Junction City, Kansas. Elizabeth George Custer ran that fort for years there. And his wife would talk about shopping in Junction City, Kansas. And it was quite something. And when we were in that fort, it was all the time the guy would say, well, listen, Fort Riley hasn't changed because Custer said, don't do anything till I get back. Well, he got killed later on and he never did come back. So it was just kind of an interesting thing. But then I spent a year in Vietnam, then I came back, and then I upgraded to captain and flew and retired in 1998, which you guys know because at 60 years old, I had to stop flying. You couldn't fly beyond 60. That was the old rule way back in the 30s. Now you can fly, this is 2021, now you can fly till 65. So I got cut short 5 years of my career. You know, you had to retire, and all you had to retire is the money that you saved up. And because at 60, well, no Social Security, no Medicare, I mean, and so it was a little tough. But then I got a job at the Performing Arts Center in Appleton, a great big 2,000-seat theater. I fundraised for a year and a half before it opened, and they hired me as a floor manager and managed ushers. And I got paid staff there, so that worked out pretty good for me there. And last year, of course, the virus shut the theater down. After 17 years, I was working there as a floor manager and see all the shows and get paid. I made $5,000 the last year I worked, but now I retired from that also. So I retired as a farmer. I retired as a flight instructor and charter pilot in Sheboygan, Wisconsin for 2 years, and 31 years total in Air, Wisconsin. So it worked out pretty good. With the stint though of a year and a half interrupted in there at Fort Riley, Kansas, and a year in Vietnam. And I only had one more meeting left after I retired after I got out of service, and that's when I got into that Performing Arts Center there in Appleton. The theater is going to open up again this summer, or this fall, but I'm just retired. I've had enough. Now I'm working, ironically, on my movie script on the Battle of the Little Bighorn. And I got it all done. The first copy is all done. Now I'm editing it all. And I'm going to take time, but I've always been interested in that. It was kind of interesting when I was at Fort Riley, Kansas, where Custer ran that for 2 years, I think, before he moved out to another camp, you know. So why did I want to fly? When I was at the University of Wisconsin, my father said we need engineers. They need engineers, and they did. And but I didn't like engineering. I started off electrical engineering, and then mechanical engineering. Then I finally liked civil engineering a little bit. And I was going to work that summer and do some for the state and help out just as a little helper, you know. And then I was going to work. Eisenhower started that all off in '55, and the interstate highways. And I thought I'd work on that, but when my father died, well, then I did the farming. But when I was studying at University of Wisconsin, I could always hear the jets at Truex Field in Madison. And I'd hear the F-89s and then the F-102s. And so I'd take my books out there to the airport, at the west end of the airport, and I would try to study and watch the airplanes go. And it was quite something, you know, and I thought, you know, I really want to do that. And anytime I could get close to an airplane or something like that, I would just enjoy it. I just said, this sounds like a good deal. And I was just excited about airplanes, and I still am. And after I retired from Air Wisconsin, then I did this flying people up to Mackinac Island and everything else, and I did that for about 8 years after I retired. But I remember when I was on a farm one time, this was quite interesting. I was filling up my tractor with gasoline in my big gasoline tank there. And all of a sudden, to the southeast of me, there was a little hill from where I had a machine shed. And here I saw a man and a woman walking. He had a suit on and she had a dress on. I went, huh. They're walking down from that part. I says, you know what? I bet you they landed an airplane that shut down on them. I bet you they landed it had a field that was a half a mile long. I bet you they landed an airplane on that field. And you know what? They did. All of a sudden they came up and they said, hi. I said, hi, how are you doing? I said, what'd you do? I brought it out first. I said, did you land an airplane on that half mile long field? He said, yeah, we sure did. The engine quit. They were going from Milwaukee to Manitowoc. And so we towed the airplane in and brought it to closer to the house, and then they fixed the airplane. It took a while before they could get an engine for it, and flew out of there. And then that was kind of nice. And now I would land on that field every once in a while when I was flying at Sheboygan. I'd be instructing, and I'd land on that field just for the heck of it. And it was just kind of fun, you know. And I really enjoyed the flying. I enjoyed instructing and all that sort of stuff. And I couldn't get enough of. When a plane would go over, I always wanted to see how that felt like that to fly an airplane. And to this day, I wish I was still flying. But I'm 83 years old now, and then I had an airplane. I owned an airplane for about 5 years. A Cherokee Archer, a Piper Archer. It used to be called Cherokee, then they called it Archers when they built a new wing, a different wing on it. And I did that, but it was just quite something, because flying all over the United States with that 500 mile an hour airplane, all the way to Santa Barbara, California, Los Angeles, to Aspen, Colorado, Vail to Aspen, Colorado, to the ski areas. And it used to be sometime we get in there late at night, and in the morning, the next day we didn't go out till 3 o'clock, so we could go skiing in the morning and then fly in the afternoon. And we had about 19 flights during the winter time from Denver to Aspen. I flew Jimmy Carter and his wife. And that was kind of a funny story, because that was after he was president, of course, and his Secret Service came aboard. But he has a habit, and he still does it. He was still doing it till a couple of years ago. He'd always go to the back of the airplane and shake everybody's hand. So he's shaking everybody's hand back there, but then the tug was coming on to hook up the airplane by the jetway, and so I have to have everybody seated when that happens, you know, because sometimes the tug will hook and shake the airplane a little bit, and I don't want to knock a passenger down. So I had to make a little speech that says, ladies and gentlemen, we have to have everybody seated now. The tug is going to hook up, and sometimes it shakes the airplane a little bit when he hooks up, and we don't want anybody to stumble. And he came running up, and he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, Captain. I'm sorry, Captain. I made you late." He was just in the seat right behind the cockpit there, because the door was still open. And his wife never said anything, Rosalind. She didn't say anything. And I said, "No, Mr. President." I says, you didn't cause me any delay here. We're fine." And got to Aspen, Colorado on time. And he came up again. He says, "Oh, I'm sorry, Captain, if it made you late." I said, "Mr. President, that's fine. You're not late. Everything is good." Yeah, I didn't have the heart to tell him I campaigned for Ronald Reagan and beat him, you know, in the election. I didn't have the heart to tell him that. But whatever. So lots of things happened. I know one time we had a tailwind, a super tailwind, 31,000 feet. It took off out of Chicago, went up to 31,000 feet, had about 125-mile tailwind, and made it from Chicago to Roanoke, Virginia in 59 minutes, which was quite fast because I know it was clicking over 600 miles an hour, making, you know, in 1 minute you'd make over 10 miles, you know, and it was quite something. But it's a heck of a job. We flew as far as Birmingham, Alabama, and then out to Washington, D.C., and it was just good. So we'd get into Washington, D.C. late at night, and I'd take the people for a little tour around all the Washington sites, you know, and the flight attendants and the co-pilot. And then after about 2 in the morning, after we didn't have to go out, the whole next day we had off in Washington, D.C. It was pretty neat. We didn't go out to the third day. But then we'd take them out so we could drink and have a good time. And then about 2 in the evening, I'd take them to the Russian embassy. And right at the Russian embassy, when Gorbachev was, you know, the premier there in Russia, if you grabbed out of the Russian embassy, big iron doors there and shake it a little bit, this great big old-fashioned camera would blast you right, you know, all blue smoke would come out and take your picture. And then, okay, and all of a sudden, within a minute or two, here come the cops. "What are you doing? What are you doing here bothering the Russians?" And I said, "Well, we just wanted to show them the embassy here." And he says, "Well, you guys have been drinking." I said, "Yeah, but flight attendant over there, she didn't have a drink at all. She's our designated driver." So that went good. And 2 weeks later, I came back, had the same flight, but with a different crew. And took them out to the embassy and did the same thing. Shook on the gate, there goes a blue flame, pluff. And all of a sudden the cops came, and the same cops. And they recognized me right away. He said, "You again? Get out of here." He used a little more language. He said, "Get the hell out of here." He says, "And don't come back." He says, "Or we're going to throw you. I'll find something to do and you know, arrest you or something like that." "All right, I'll leave them. I'll leave the Russians alone." It was just kind of funny things would happen, but it was a great job. And we would tour all the next day. Then we tour all the battlefields and everything else. Where of course Custer ended up a major colonel, general in the army, in a lot of battles up there. He was at Gettysburg, so we'd just tour everything. So it was a terrific job, and but farming was good for me too. I had the second windrower in the state of Wisconsin, and where you could cut conditioned windrow hay all with one machine, rather than 3 different machines where they would cut it, and then they would crush it, and then they would rake it. I put it all in one machine, and that worked out pretty good. But farming could be very tough. One year you'd make a bunch of money, and then you'd have bad weather, and then you'd lose a bunch of money. So flying worked out better for me, and I like that. So I had a good career, and I'm still going another career. Going to finish my movie script, send it in. I wrote 1 movie script already that had the Indians gambling on the Oregon Trail, sitting bull in Custer, Custer tried to stop him, and Sitting Bull, the Crazy Horse, putting up teepees along the Oregon Trail and trying to get the settlers' money. I named it Bet Your Wagon. And for a while, then the Indians, the settlers were losing all their money. And then they said, so then they took markers out of their wagons. Of course, they lost that money too. So Custer went in there, he's going to try to stop them. And so Custer said, this is all fiction, of course. He says, I'll fight you at the Little Bighorn if you don't stop this, and if you don't give this money back to the settlers, their wagons. So Sitting Bull comes up and just before the fight says, hey Custer, what are your men going to fight with? And he says, well, we got rifles, we'll fight you. And so he looks back at the cavalry with their horses, and they have no weapons. They lost them in the casino the night before. So he's got a big poker game going between Crazy Horse and Custer. And of course Custer loses, so he ends up on a white man's reservation, hunting buffalo the rest of his life with all his men. And then Sitting Bull says, okay, settlers, you can have your wagons back, but we got your money, but take your wagons back. And then Sitting Bull started saying, hey you guys, we're going to start sending a message out east. Let's have Indian casinos and we'll get all the white man's money back. And I made a movie on that. I sent it into 9 different studios. They liked the movie, but they said you can't make fun of the Indians anymore. So this Battle of the Little Bighorn, I won't make fun of the Indians because they won the battle. But then of course, in the end, they lost all their rights. I could tell you a lot more stories, but I think I rambled on long enough about my flying career, and I've had a great life. And my first wife died after ironically 31 years also, and after I got back from Vietnam, got married, and then I married a widow here 10 years ago, and she used to fly with me and everything else, and she got to really like it. But then I quit after a while, after 8 years, and wasn't doing enough of it. And that's my story. And I want to thank all of you for coming. Well, this is a different part of the tape, but I had a great retirement party, as you can see in the first part of the tape. And then I have another tape on my career that Sandy Sanders taped for me on my last flight. And it was a wonderful career. I have a wonderful life, and I'm a very, very lucky man. I'm a very lucky man, and I hope to accomplish a lot more in life yet. Besides, I hope the movie will sell someday, and then otherwise, then I'll find something else to do. I never want to quit doing something, you know, and that's why I'm making this tape. God bless you all, and that's the end of my little speech. I'm sorry I rambled on so much, but I just loved what I did.